Hello everybody, this is Bleakborn, and today I am doing a deck tech for Standard. This deck is Mono Red Humans. Let's dive into it right away. I am running 25 creatures in this deck, and I am running a full playset of Inventor's Apprentice. It is a 1 mana, 1/2 that gets bigger. It's this Curd Ape of the new Standard. As long as you control another artifact, it gets +1/+1. It's also a human, so it fits well with the tribe that I am going for. The next card I am running four Bomat Couriers. They are not a human, but they are an artifact, and they are in red, and they are going to get us late game card advantage off their triggered ability, and early damage with that haste. They are fairly strong and allow us to do a few other things in the late game if we need to. They also allow your Inventor's Apprentice to get a little bigger. On to the 2-drops, we are running 3 of the legendary Kari Skyship Raider. What's a human deck without a creature with Menace and First Strike? That creates a 2/1 token. I like this deck so far. The reason I wanted to run humans is because Kari Zev is a very good aggro creature, but being a 1/3, she can get walled a lot. But with that menace, she does get around things. Which brings me to my other 2-drop, Metallic Mimic. I am running a full playset of these. You just play them, you name human, and then every human you play after that gets 1 point bigger. You play a Metallic Mimic and say human again after one of these is out. Bam! That Metallic Mimic is now a 3/2, and all the other humans are getting 2 counters. I kind of built this deck around the idea of artifact human tribal to use capitalize on the Inventor's Apprentice, and a few other cards later down the list. But we'll jump into our 3-drops. I am running 3 Hanweir Garrisons. This, in my opinion, this 2/3 is a very strong card because it is essentially attacking for 5 when it attacks. And combos well with its land, that the Hanweir Battlements, in the late game. You can spend 5 mana and turn your Hanweir Garrison and the land into a really big creature that's making more creatures. The inevitability of this card is great, and guess what? It's a human. So playing Metallic Mimic on turn 2 into this on turn 3 means this guy is a 3/4 as big as Kalidas and is going to not die to many things. My other 3-drop, I am running 3 Pia Nalaars. She is a great target for removal, so 3 is where I'm at. That 2 defense die makes her die to a lot of things, but she does bring a Thopter with her, which helps with the Inventor's Apprentice. And being the ability to pump artifacts is always great, and being able to sacrifice, say, a Bomat Courier in the late game to allow her or another few of your guys to get through, that's not a bad choice. And lastly, our last creature in the deck is actually a vehicle. It is Fleetwheel Cruiser, and I am going to be running 3 of these. I didn't want to run too many 4-drops because I want to keep my mana base low. It's still getting tweaked out fully, but currently I am running 3 and 5/3 with haste on turn 4 is pretty strong. That usually will net you the game by that point. Let's talk about different combos we can do with the creatures besides the Hanweir Garrison into the the Writhing Township. That's a very strong combo. It's a very strong creature. It still can die to removal like 90% of creatures in the game. Metallic Mimic plus the Hanweir Garrison means you can, when those tokens come out, they're all 2/2s. You're attacking for a lot more damage on turn 4 with Metallic Mimic out on turn 2 and your Hanweir Garrison on turn 3. If you get the Hanweir late, you can use its own land's ability to increase the speed of the garrison, allowing you to actually attack and make a bunch of power right away. The lacking part of this deck is the card draw. That's why I'm running 4 Bomat Couriers to kind of offset the lack of late game. If most red decks don't go to late game, but you want to be able to have the ability to continue getting steam. Now let's talk about our spells. I am running 15 spells. 4 of which is the Format All-Star Shock. It deals with Saheeli. It deals with 90% of things that have 2 defense. There's only a couple things that that Shock doesn't kill in the format. And most of the stuff it kills is worth killing right away. I know in my other deck tech, Shock was the bane. Anything I played, if it got shocked, it's like, oh, I got to play around Shock. And your opponents will have to play around Shock as well. Into my first of the 2 drops for the spells, I am running 3 Incendiary Flows. This is 3 damage for 2 mana to a player or a creature. It's very strong. There's not much better than that in Standard that we'll probably ever see. And you can always throw it at the face of your opponent, just like Shock, to get those last bits of damage in. I am running 3 Harnessed Lightlings. They are pretty much one of the strongest creature removals, allowing you to hold energy for later to increase the damage of a later one. They're very flexible, which is nice. I'm only running 3 because I have no other real way in the main board to make use of that extra energy. And I didn't really want to build around a mono red energy deck. I wanted to try the humans because I knew back when Garrison was spoiled a long time ago that humans were going to be powerhouse, but they never seemed to show up. And I feel like this deck itself is kind of the epitome of Standard right now. We'll probably see a couple more red humans in the future, but I think this is probably all we're getting for red humans, at least in the mono red build. My next spell is a 3-drop. I am going to run 2 Collective Defiance. That 4 damage the creature, or 3 damage the player, or that discard your hand and draw the equivalent. That is very nice. You can use that discard on your opponent too. So if they're playing Control, or have just dug into a nice hand or waiting, you can kind of mess their hand up, which is kind of nice. Not always beneficial to shoot them with it, but sometimes you never know. Otherwise, you're generally probably going to be using the creature removal side of it, or the player's lightning bolt to their face. Lastly, I am running 2 Flame Lash as my only other 4-drop in the deck. It does 4 damage to a creature or a player at instant speed. So I figured that would probably be a good choice to cap up my damage. It kind of turns this deck into more of a burn deck, but keeps with the human side of the deck. So it's still theme, still on point, and this deck is not going to cost you too much at all. Online, you can get this deck probably for under $10, a little closer probably to 15, but depending where you get the cards, or if you already have some of these cards, a lot of them are commons or junk rares. So this deck will be a powerhouse. The only expensive card I've seen so far is Metallic Mimic. Being as it can be played in a bunch of different decks, this card is going to be hard to get. But let's jump to our lands. I am running 4 Hanweir Battlements. I really want to be able to flip that Hanweir Garrison in the late game, if possible. I thought about running a playset of the Garrison, but I feel like the guarantee with Pia was a little more important to get that artifact creature down. But if you wanted to, you can take 1 Pia out, bring her down to 2, and throw 4 Hanweir Garrisons in here to ensure the flooding of the board. There is a lot of Wrath spells, so I figured more Hanweir Garrisons are not going to always be the best thing. But Metallic Mimic does make them have 4 defense, so they're over most of the Wrath spells in Standard. And they survive the Kozilek's Return the first time it's cast. On to my other land, I am running 1 Westvale Abbey, and you might wonder why. Well, why not? This card will... It's super strong. You can pump out humans, which can get bigger. I mean, all the humans you're going to pop out after you get Metallic Mimic on board are going to be 2/2s. You can sacrifice a bunch of creatures that haven't been able to get through. You do make a lot of tokens in this deck. Kari makes tokens. Garrison makes tokens. Pia makes tokens. That is a lot of tokens that this deck can make. And lastly, I am running 17 mountains. I didn't want to spend too much putting different mountains, different other lands, man lands, any of that. I don't want anything to come and play tapped. I want this to be as quick as I possibly can do. Some other things you probably could run in the deck is Heart of Kirin or a few other... Chandra herself, the 4-mana one. She's very strong. But I wanted to keep this more budget. No one wants to put 4 $20 cards in their deck. And, you know, there's better decks suited for those cards. This deck is based around humans. You probably could swap out the Fleetwheel Cruiser for a few different human options. I wouldn't want to switch out Bomat Courier because then you end up losing Inventor's Apprentice, and you have to go for some werewolves, and it's not as powerful with this deck. This deck is quick. The sideboard cards I am running 3 Release the Gremlins, 2 Incendiary Sabotage. I am running 3 Kari Zev's Expertise, 3 Crumble to Dust to deal with all those pesky manlands. And lastly, I'm running 4 Latnu Hellions. Like I said earlier with the Harness Lightning, these will be your sideboard in if you want to go faster. You can pop out Pia's or Garrisons to really increase the speed and damage of this deck. I'm running 4 to guarantee that I will get them every game pretty much on turn 3 from the sideboard. I want to make sure I can go quick if I need to. If I'm playing against control that's going to Wrath on turn 4, I want to make sure I have a creature for 1 that's bigger than most of the Wraths, and 2 that's going to do a bunch of damage when it comes into play. There's many other sideboard options that you can run. These are just some of my ideas, and then it ultimately depends on your meta and who you're playing against. There's Chandra's more removal, but I think my removal suite's pretty good in main board. A few more vehicles. It really depends on your meta and what you want to do with your sideboard besides just, you know, being able to counter most other decks, which this is kind of a good rounded sideboard, able to deal with lands, dealing with artifacts, dealing with a lot of tokens in green-white, stealing their biggest guy with Kari Zev, be it a creature or a vehicle, and otherwise Latnu Hellion's gonna get you through against control. If you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a comment below if you have any ideas or different versions of this deck. I would love to hear anything you have. This is Bleakborn signing out.